Imagine being the first human to do something everyone thought was impossible. At just 17 years old, a teenager from Virginia launched himself into the air and rotated 4.5 times before landing on a razor-thin blade. The quadruple axel, a jump that had defeated Olympic champions for decades, was finally conquered. The arena erupted. History had just been rewritten. But 3 years later, on the world's biggest stage, everything would collapse. This is the story of Ilia Malinin, the boy they call the Quad God. And the moment that proved champions aren't defined by their victories, but by how they rise after falling. December 2nd, 2004. A child was born in Fairfax, Virginia, into what can only be described as skating royalty. His mother, Ilia Malinin, competed for Uzbekistan at the 1998 Winter Olympics. His father, Roman Skornyakov, was a national champion who represented Uzbekistan on the world stage. Ice wasn't just frozen water in the Malinin household. It was the family legacy, the shared language, the kingdom they ruled together. Yet young Ilia wanted nothing to do with it. While his parents glided through routines with effortless grace, their son preferred chasing soccer balls across grassy fields. The cold rinks held no appeal. His parents watched patiently, never forcing, as their son actively resisted the world they loved. Then, his grandfather made a quiet prediction that would prove prophetic. Once he learns triple jumps, he said, you won't be able to pull him away from the ice. And that's exactly what happened. Something magical occurred the moment Ilia mastered his first complex rotation. The physics clicked. The feeling of flight became addictive. Soccer suddenly seemed two-dimensional compared to the three-dimensional freedom of spinning through air. By age 10, the boy who hated skating couldn't imagine life without it. What changed wasn't parental pressure or family obligation, it was discovering a gift he didn't know he possessed. A gift for defying gravity itself. By his early teens, Ilia wasn't just skating, he was reimagining what the human body could achieve on ice. While competitors perfected artistic routines, he became obsessed with one singular question. What's considered impossible? And can I do it anyway? He treated the ice like a laboratory and his body like an ongoing experiment in physics. Coaches watched in stunned silence as this teenager attempted jumps that elite senior skaters wouldn't dare try. His mind constantly calculated angles, rotation speeds, height requirements, and landing forces. Every practice became a mission to push beyond known limits. Competition titles started accumulating: juvenile champion, intermediate champion, national podium finishes. But these weren't his real goals. The real target was something nobody had ever accomplished. September 14th, 2022. The U.S. International Figure Skating Classic. A date that would change the sport forever. 17-year-old Ilia Malinin stood at center ice, preparing to attempt what many considered physically impossible: the quadruple axel. To understand the magnitude of this moment, you need to understand what makes this jump different. Unlike every other jump in figure skating, the axel requires a forward takeoff, which means the skater must complete an extra half rotation beyond the 4 full spins. 4.5 rotations in mid-air, spinning at velocities that create crushing G-forces, then landing backward on a blade 4 millimeters wide, traveling at nearly 30 miles per hour. For over a century of competitive figure skating, champions had tried. All had failed. Many sports scientists believed the quadruple axel exceeded the biomechanical limits of human capability. The arena fell into breathless silence as Ilia accelerated into his approach. He launched skyward. Time dilated as his body became a spinning blur. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, plus that brutal extra half turn that made this jump legendary in its difficulty. Then the impossible. His blade caught clean ice. His body absorbed the impact. He glided out smoothly as the crowd exploded into deafening celebration. Coaches stood with hands over mouths in disbelief. In that single moment, a 17-year-old kid from Virginia had accomplished what the greatest skaters in history could not. From that day forward, he was no longer just Ilia Malinin. He became the quad god, the only human being on Earth who could land skating's Everest. But landing one impossible jump wasn't enough. Over the next year, titles accumulated like fallen dominoes. World Junior Champion, Skate America Gold, US National Champion. But what truly stunned the skating world wasn't the medals, it was his complete revolution of technical difficulty. While elite competitors were building programs around 3 or 4 quadruple jumps, Ilia was landing 6 entirely different quads in a single 4-minute performance. The quadruple toe loop, salchow, loop, flip, lutz, and the previously impossible axel, all executed in one program. No human in the history of the sport had ever accomplished this. Each jump required different physics, different edge work, different takeoff mechanics, different rotational dynamics. It was like solving 6 different advanced calculus problems while spinning through the air at dangerous speeds and landing each answer perfectly on a knife's edge. The entire sport faced an uncomfortable reality: evolve to match Ilia's standard or accept permanent second place. Coaches around the world rewrote training programs. Competitors attempted jumps they'd spent careers avoiding. At just 18 years old, Ilia hadn't simply raised the bar for figure skating excellence, he'd placed it in another stratosphere entirely. Between 2024 and 2026, the world witnessed complete dominance. Ilia claimed the World Championship in 2024 with a record-breaking score. He defended the title in 2025 with even higher technical content. Then, in 2026, he secured his 3rd consecutive World Championship at just 21 years old. Each victory came with greater difficulty and cleaner execution. World records didn't just fall, they shattered into irrelevance. What made this dominance even more remarkable was the balance Ilia maintained outside skating. While most Olympic-level athletes dedicate every waking moment to training, then came the free skate, 4 minutes that would change everything. As his music began, something was wrong. You could see it in his eyes, the slight hesitation before his first combination jump. He launched into the air and his rotation was off. Wobble on the landing. The crowd gasped. Second jump, he fell. The arena went silent. Third jump, another fall. The unthinkable was unfolding in real time as the quad god became devastatingly, heartbreakingly human in front of a global audience of millions. When the final scores appeared, the number next to his name seemed impossible. 8th place. Not silver, not bronze. 8th. The cameras captured his face, not anger or tears, but a blank expression of someone experiencing complete collapse on the world's largest stage. Later, Ilia would reveal the truth with brutal honesty. It wasn't physical. My body was ready. It was completely mental. The pressure that had been building for years, the weight of being called the greatest, the suffocating expectation of inevitable victory, it had crushed even his extraordinary spirit. The jumps he'd landed 10,000 times in practice vanished under the Olympic spotlight. Sports psychologists call Olympic disappointment career-ending trauma because the psychological wound cuts so deep that many never recover. But what happened next revealed who Ilia Malinin truly was beneath the superhuman performances. When the scoreboard confirmed 8th place, cameras captured something more powerful than any quadruple jump. The quad god didn't storm off the ice in anger. He didn't throw tantrums or blame judges. Instead, with the world watching his most humiliating moment, Ilia stayed. He approached the gold medalist and offered genuine congratulations, his smile painful but authentic. He shook hands with competitors who'd seized the opportunity his collapse created. In a sport where athletes sometimes blame everyone but themselves, Ilia chose dignity over victimhood. This moment of grace under crushing disappointment revealed more about his character than any world record ever could. While millions had just witnessed his technical collapse, they simultaneously witnessed his character triumph. And when a reporter quietly approached and asked about his future, Ilia looked directly into the camera and said 3 words that would prove prophetic. "I'll be back." Just 6 weeks after Olympic devastation, Ilia Malinin stood once again at center ice. The 2026 World Championships in Boston. Another global stage, another opportunity, another chance to crumble or rise. Most athletes need months or years to recover from the kind of public failure Ilia had just experienced. But as Ilia took his starting position, something had fundamentally changed in his eyes. Not fear, not doubt. Something harder, tempered by fire. His music began. First jump, absolutely perfect. The crowd roared. Second combination, flawless. By the time his program ended, the entire arena was on their feet, not just witnessing technical brilliance but something far more powerful. Human resilience in its purest form. When the judges' scores appeared, Ilia Malinin had secured his third consecutive World Championship title. But this victory meant something profoundly different than the previous two. This wasn't about proving he was the most talented skater, it was about proving he could be broken and still rebuild himself. His father, watching from the stands with tears in his eyes, said it perfectly. Winning when you've never lost is talent. Winning after you've been shattered, that's character. In that moment, Ilia transcended from technical phenomenon to something far more significant. A true champion who understood that failure isn't final, it's just the middle of the story. If this story moved you, subscribe now, because we don't just cover athletes, we uncover the human truth behind the superhuman performances. Next week, we're revealing the untold psychology of another champion who fell from grace and clawed their way back. And tell us in the comments, have you ever failed at something you once dominated? How did you rise again? Share it below.